This is the second video of Unit 2. It includes Part D, chemical reactions, Part E, different molecules have different shapes. I know, it sounds a little odd, but as you'll see, the shapes of molecules is critical for their functioning. Also, Part F, inorganic compounds. If you haven't done so, you might proceed through the first video of Parts A through C. Let's continue with Part D, chemical reactions. Chemical reactions involve chemical bonds splitting and forming. Bonds contain potential energy. A reaction may gain energy, it's called endergonic. It may release energy, exergonic. A chemical equation describes a chemical reaction. It's a shorthand way of saying a molecule of sodium chloride splits into an ion of sodium and an ion of chloride. Reactions have these parts: reactants and products. In this example, the reactant is sodium chloride, and the products are sodium ions and chloride ions. The bonds between the sodium and the chloride was broken. Metabolism refers to the total chemical reactions in a cell. Anabolism is metabolism that builds molecules. Metabolism is metabolism that breaks down molecules. Examples of chemical reactions include synthesis reactions, in which one molecule binds to another to make a bigger molecule. Phosphorylation is one type, the addition of phosphate. Hydrogenation, the addition of hydrogen. And dehydration, the removal of water to join molecules. Decomposition is another type of reaction. It involves the splitting of a molecule. Examples include dehydrogenation, the removal of hydrogen, hydrolysis, the addition of water to split a molecule, and decarboxylation, the removal of carbon dioxide. Exchange reactions switch parts. In this example, the small circle is switched with the square. Oxidation reactions remove electrons, and reduction reactions add electrons. Here are equations of three different sets of reactions. Many of the substances are named and will be explained later. Glucose is a 6-carbon compound that usually takes the form of a ring-shaped structure. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. ADP is adenosine diphosphate. In glucose 6-phosphate, the phosphate group has been linked with the number 6 carbon of the glucose. Here is a 6-carbon compound with 2 phosphate groups. Ultimately, 2 3-carbon molecules result. Isocitrate has 6 carbons, and it contains 3 carboxyl groups. These hydrogens are particularly important. NAD and NADH2 will be described later. Carbon dioxide is shown, and alpha-ketoglutarate is a 5-carbon molecule. Here are equations of 3 different sets of reactions. Don't be confused by the arrows. The reaction is another way of representing this reaction. Glucose plus ATP gives ADP plus glucose 6-phosphate. Which reaction illustrates phosphorylation? Top reaction. ATP gives up a phosphate to the glucose to form glucose 6-phosphate. ADP also results. What about hydrogenation? The bottom reaction. Hydrogen from isocitrate is added to the NAD to form NADH plus H. Usually I represent that as NADH2. How about decomposition? The middle reaction. The 6-carbon compound is split into 2 3-carbon compounds. Decarboxylation. Bottom reaction, the isocitrate releases carbon dioxide. The rates of chemical reactions depend on concentration of reactants, temperature of the reaction, and presence of a catalyst, which increases the rate and lowers the activation energy. Activation energy is the energy needed to start a reaction. A written equation has a right and a left side. There's no such thing as a left or right side in a chemical reaction because there are billions of molecules moving in all directions. Chemical reactions are often reversible. They proceed forward and backward, that is, to the right and to the left, when written as a chemical equation. When reversed, the reactants become products and the products become reactants. Reversible reactions achieve a stable state of equilibrium in which the concentration of reactant and product molecules is stable. For example, there might be 50% reactant and 50% product at equilibrium, or it might be 1% reactant, 99% product. It might be 10% or 90% reactants to products. If reactants or products are added, the reaction will shift to the left or right to reach a new equilibrium. Equilibrium maintains the original concentration as close as possible when reactants or products are added or removed. If sodium ions in this reaction are added to the reaction shown, the equation will shift left to try to remove the extra sodium ions and restore the equilibrium. If sodium ions are removed from the reaction, the equation will shift right to try to add sodium ions and restore the equilibrium. The same is true by adding or removing sodium chloride or chloride ions. To understand equilibrium, forget chemistry for a moment. Consider a double tank filled with water with a connector between the two tanks. It has a left side and a right side. In this example, the total volume of water, 50%, is on the left side and 50% in the right side. If you add water to the left side to raise the water level to the dashed line, the equilibrium is upset because now more water is present in the left side. Immediately, water flows through the connector to the right to restore the equilibrium. The volume of water again is 50% on the left and 50% on the right. Let's review using a simple reaction with the reactant molecule consisting of a circle and a triangle that's split into the products, a circle plus a triangle. Assume the reaction is occurring in a beaker. Now, remember, there are billions and billions of these reactions taking place. If we add the triangle to the beaker, which way will the reaction go to reach a new equilibrium? After reaching equilibrium, what will happen to the concentration of the circle, not the combined molecule? After reaching equilibrium, what will happen to the concentration of the combined molecule? The reaction will shift to the left, reach a new equilibrium. The concentration will decrease, and the concentration will increase. After reaching a new equilibrium, the concentrations are not exactly like the original, but close. Different molecules have different shapes. This sounds pretty elementary, but I can't emphasize how important this is for the functioning of life. Molecules are in constant motion, and they work by bumping into one another. When they bump into another molecule, they may stick. They stick with chemical bonds. If they stick, they work. Now, what that means will become apparent as the course unfolds. It's important, particularly with large molecules, such as proteins. In order to bond, the shapes of the two molecules must be complementary. That means their shapes, like two pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, must match. Which molecule is complementary to the yellow molecule? The blue one. The word complementary means to make complete. So when the two bond, they make a bigger molecule complete. Part of the molecule that binds is called the binding site, or receptor, or active site, and it has other terms as well. The molecule another one binds to is called its ligand. To ligate means to tie together. Many molecules are large and complex, such as proteins, nucleic acids, and polysaccharides. Molecules link to other molecules with weak chemical bonds, such as hydrogen bonds. Remember, a link between hydrogen and nitrogen, or hydrogen and oxygen. Opposite charges attract. In these complementary molecules, the distances are exactly right for the formation of three bonds. In the non-complementary molecules, the correct distance allows the formation of only one bond. Therefore, the attractions between the two molecules is weaker and not sufficient to hold the two together. Let's continue with part F, inorganic compounds. Inorganic compounds occur naturally in the non-living world, and they're also found in living organisms. They include things like dirt, water, rocks, minerals. We've covered water already. Let's look at a simple introduction to acids and bases. Many acids and bases are organic compounds, and we'll cover these in detail at a later time. An acid is any substance that releases hydrogen ions. And so if you add the acid to a solution, hydrogen ions are released into the solution, thus increasing the hydrogen ion concentration. Examples include hydrochloric acid and the carboxyl group. A base is any substance that accepts hydrogen ions. When you add a base to a solution, the concentration of hydrogen ions decreases. Sodium hydroxide is an example. It ionizes into sodium and hydroxide ions. The hydroxide ions immediately combine with hydrogen ions to form water. Another is the amino group. You'll hear more about this a little later. A pH scale is used to measure hydrogen ion concentration. It's a scale of numbers from 1 to 14. The lower the number on the pH scale, the greater the number of hydrogen ions. A solution is neutral if the pH is 7. The end of this part of the unit. You're now ready to progress to Unit 2, Matter, Part G.